Here are just some of his plans for New York City. Watch.
And our police force should not be assisting ICE.
Defund the NYPD and refund all of these different social services. And
I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce.
I'll freeze the rent for millions of tenants, make buses fast and free, and deliver universal childcare. And before you ask, I'll pay for it by taxing the rich.
The mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
What's good, Patriots? Welcome to FTL, where we obliterate the woke agenda with unfiltered, red-pilled truth. I'm your host, here to drop truth bombs on the radical left's nonsense. Today, we're diving deep into the ex-swamp of Zohran Mamdani, New York City's socialist crusader who's trying to turn the Big Apple into a Marxist wasteland. His tweets are a certified disaster zone of anti-American, anti-freedom drivel, and we're exposing the most unhinged ones from 2020 to 2025. Let's roll. All right, freedom fighters, let's talk about Zohran Mamdani, the 33-year-old democratic socialist who's got his sights set on turning New York City into a dystopian fever dream straight out of Fidel Castro's playbook. This guy's X account is a treasure trove of radical, un-American takes. We're doing a deep dive into his most controversial posts, spanning years of his keyboard crusading, and trust me, it's a wild ride. Mamdani's tweets are so unhinged they'd make Sleepy Joe spill his ice cream cone. With Trump's America First agenda as our guide, we're exposing this guy's lunacy while keeping it real. Let's break it down. First up, let's hop in the time machine to June 29th, 2020, when Mamdani was out here tweeting like he's the love child of Karl Marx and a Brooklyn barista. He posted, quote, "We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need is to hashtag defund the NYPD." Oh, Zohran, you absolute walnut. Calling the NYPD racist and anti-queer while demanding they get defunded? That's like telling a surgeon to operate with a butter knife. New York's crime stats are screaming for help. Homicides jumped 13% in 2024, and shootings were up 8% citywide. Yet Mamdani wants to gut the police force that's holding the line. Meanwhile, President Trump's been shouting "Back the blue" louder than a MAGA rally at Mar-a-Lago. His law and order stance is why we love him. Cops keep us safe, not your hashtag activism, Zohran. This tweet alone proves Mamdani's living in a fantasy where criminals send thank you notes instead of committing crimes. But hold on, it gets crazier. On January 22nd, 2020, Mamdani unleashed a thread that reads like a socialist Christmas list for chaos. He wrote, quote, "We will support existing decarceral legislation that will end cash bail, repeal the walking while trans ban, decriminalize sex work, legalize marijuana, permit safe injection sites, restrict solitary confinement, enact elder parole, and re-enfranchise incarcerated New Yorkers." Holy smokes. Zohran, did you forget to add free Wi-Fi for bank robbers? Ending cash bail means criminals walk free before their court date. Decriminalizing sex work and setting up safe injection sites? That's not compassion. It's a green light for lawlessness. Legalizing weed is one thing, but this guy's pushing a full-on free-for-all where New York turns into Gotham without Batman. Trump's been crystal clear. Strong laws, tough sentences, and zero tolerance for crime. Mamdani's vision is a middle finger to every New Yorker who just wants to ride the subway without fearing for their wallet. MAGA knows we need leaders like Trump, who built an economy where hard work pays off, not ones handing out get-out-of-jail-free cards like they're candy. Now, let's wade into Mamdani's international hot takes, where he really steps in it. On June 17th, 2025, he went on the Bulwark podcast and got pressed about the phrase "globalize the Intifada." Instead of condemning it, he said, quote, "To me, ultimately, what I hear in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights in standing up for Palestinian human rights."
I am someone who I would say am less comfortable with the idea of banning the use of certain words, and that I think it is more evocative of a Trump-style approach to how to lead a country. And I think especially when we've seen
Sure, but like, does that just make you uncomfortable? Like the phrase globalize Intifada, from the river to the sea, does that make you uncomfortable, or do you think
those are different? Those are super different.
They're not
those are
really
like different genres.
I'm sorry, I'm asking Zohran. Then they're not really different to me, and to some people, they're not different.
You know, I know people for whom those things mean very different things, and to me, ultimately, what I hear in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights in standing up for Palestinian human rights. And I think what's difficult also is that the very word has been used by the Holocaust Museum when translating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising into Arabic, because it's a word that means struggle.
Sure.
And as a Muslim man who grew up post 9/11, I'm all too familiar in the way in which Arabic words can be twisted, can be distorted, can be used to justify any kind of meaning.
The very word Intifada has been used by the Holocaust Museum when translating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising into Arabic, because it's a word that means struggle. Are you kidding me, Zohran? Comparing a Palestinian uprising tied to suicide bombings and violence to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising against Nazi genocide? That's not just ignorant. It's a grotesque distortion of history. The Anti-Defamation League and Jewish community leaders roasted him, and for good reason. The phrase globalize the Intifada is seen by many as a call to anti-Semitic violence, linked to the second Intifada's wave of attacks that killed over 1,000 Israelis.
Do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech.
Quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about. And what I will do is showcase my vision for the city through my words and my actions.
Mamdani's word salad here is pure cowardice, dodging accountability while alienating New York's Jewish community. No wonder MAGA heavyweights like Laura Loomer and Charlie Kirk are lighting him up on X. This guy's a walking PR disaster. And then there's his war on wealth. His 2025 campaign has been all about taxing the rich until they flee to Florida, pushing policies that would make Wall Street pack up and leave.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country.
This guy's out here demonizing success while Trump's fighting to cut taxes and bring jobs back. Mamdani's basically saying the American dream is a crime. Tell that to the entrepreneurs, innovators, and job creators who make New York hum. Trump's art of the deal energy is about winning, not whining about billionaires. If Zohran had his way, NYC would be a ghost town of shuttered businesses and sky-high taxes. Good luck keeping the lights on when the tax base bolts, buddy. Let's not skip his absolute clownery on crime. In a 2020 X post, Mamdani called violence, quote, an artificial construct.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
Violence? Artificial? Tell that to the families of the 445 homicide victims in NYC in 2024. Tell that to the shop owners dealing with a 15% spike in retail theft. This guy's acting like a mugging is just a creative misunderstanding. Trump's been hammering the need for tough-on-crime policies since his first campaign, and MAGA's got his back. We want safe streets, not Zohran's fantasy where crime's just a vibe you can wish away. His soft-on-crime rhetoric is why New Yorkers are dodging bullets and praying for a return to Trump's no-nonsense approach. And don't get me started on his flip-flopping. In 2020, he's screaming defund the police like it's his personal mantra. Fast forward to June 16th, 2025, and he's on a debate stage saying, quote, I will not defund the police. Right now, We're relying on them to deal with the failures of our social safety net.
I want to say it very clearly, because both Mr. Tilson and Andrew Cuomo's Republican billionaire donors have been lying about me on our television screens and right now. I will not defund the police. I will work with the police because I believe the police have a critical role to play in creating public service, public safety. I want to say it very clearly. I will not defund the police. I will not defund the police. I will not defund the police. I will not defund the police.
Zohran, look at your tweets.
I will not defund the police.
You've said it very clearly.
Yo, Zohran, make up your mind. This guy's flipping harder than a pancake at an IHOP. Trump's never waffled like this. He says what he means and means what he says. Mamdani's trying to play the radical base and the moderates at the same time, but MAGA sees through the charade. You can't trash the NYPD for years and then act like you're their biggest fan when the polls get tight. That's not leadership, that's spineless. Let's also talk about his October 8th, 2023 tweet, posted one day after Hamas's horrific attack on Israel. He wrote, quote, "The violence we've witnessed in Palestine and Israel is heartbreaking. I condemn Israel's indiscriminate bombing and the blockade of Gaza, a collective punishment that violates international law. Notice what's missing? Not a single word condemning Hamas's slaughter of 1,200 Israelis, including women and children. This guy's out here crying about Israel's response while giving terrorists a free pass. Trump's been unwavering. America stands with Israel, no ifs, ands, or buts. Mamdani's selective outrage is a slap in the face to every American who values our allies and rejects terrorism. Donald Trump Jr. and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been torching him on X for this, and the MAGA base is eating it up. From defunding the police to hating on billionaires to equivocating on Intifada, Mamdani's built a brand on hating cops, capitalism, and common sense. It's no wonder the MAGA crowd, led by voices like Dan Bongino and Candace Owens, is calling him out as a danger to New York's future. Here's the bottom line, Patriots. Zohran Mamdani's X feed is a blueprint for disaster. He wants to defund the police, leaving New Yorkers defenseless. He wants to tax the rich until they flee, tanking the economy. He's soft on crime, weak on Israel, and allergic to the American dream. Meanwhile, Trump's fighting for an America where hard work is rewarded, streets are safe, and our allies are strong. Mamdani's tweets prove he's not just out of touch. He's actively trying to dismantle everything that makes this country great.
Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the number. Ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. You know, I've always said, we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism. And you get a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. Yeah, but you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question. He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. And it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment. I said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times. Every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group. That was a very dangerous group, I will tell you. These were not nice people. That was the only thing they could do. They had no policy. They had no skill. They had no anything. But they were very good at that. They were vicious, vicious, horrible people. Thank you very much.
New York needs a leader with Trump's backbone. Bold, unapologetic, and America first. not some flip-flopping socialist who thinks violence is artificial and billionaires are the enemy. Let's keep NYC red, white, and blue, not red with a hammer and sickle. Let's make America great again, and let's start by keeping radicals like Mamdani far from City Hall. That's the brutal truth on Zohran Mamdani's X-Meltdown, folks. If you're sick of this socialist circus, smash that like button, subscribe to FTL, and hit the bell for more red-pilled content. Share this video to wake up your friends before NYC becomes Mamdani's personal commune. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Do you think this guy's got a shot, or is he just a loudmouth with a keyboard? Let's keep America great. Peace out.